Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry, and joining us today is Jenn Castro. She's here to share from her personal struggle through traumatic times, something we can all relate to given the recent events of COVID-19 and Super Typhoon U2, and hopefully offer some insights today that we can all learn from. Jenn, thanks for making time to join us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
We've been chatting quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. Take us back to where your story, the story of your journey, begins.
Wow, it's a loaded question there, because let's do the more recent one.
Sure.
My most recent struggling journey began maybe, I'm going to say August of 2019, pre-COVID. So during that time, I felt kind of sad, and just kind of depressed, and I had no idea why. And because I had been depressed before, I knew the symptoms, I knew the signals, I knew what to do. So immediately I tried to look for help. Tried to look for counseling, tried to make appointments with doctors, and to get on medication, whatever needed to be done. Unfortunately, that didn't happen as I was hoping. So it got to a point where I just had some kind of break, like nervous break. I can say that now that I think back, but I didn't know what to call it at the time. And I just kind of like I was removed from the world. I went home and I just kind of stayed there. And this happened in December. Yes. At the time I thought, okay, well, let me just take a few weeks off. Maybe I'm overworked, or maybe I'm thinking about things too much. So I figured, okay, let me take two weeks of leave. And, it's Christmas time, spend time with the family. But, yeah, that didn't work out either. Because, like I said, this happened to me before. My first time was right when I finished college in 2001. And I was living in Seattle at the time, and it was actually I don't know how I connected with the priest, but I started talking with that priest, and he suggested I go over and get professional help, and so that's how I knew what was going on. Like, I had no idea.
What were you feeling at that time when you were given the diagnosis of depression?
I was actually very surprised because, oh my gosh, anybody who knew me back then, I was the bubbly, happy, smiley, fun girl who, I swear I thought I was happy. I was having the time of my life. And for someone to tell me, a doctor to tell me that I've been depressed, I'm like, oh. Because you think of the word depressed and you think like, okay, my boyfriend broke up with me.
Somber, and quiet, crying a lot, yeah.
But what I felt was it was like an internal sucking out of my soul, and I didn't know why.
Wow.
I kept thinking about what happened today, what's different, it just out of nowhere, and that scared me. That's just scary to not know why you're feeling the way you're feeling, right? I mean, not to know anything is scary in itself. So I felt the same way this past the last time. Because although, I mean, it's been reoccurring, every now and then. Anybody who knows me in my 20s and 30s, they know that I retreat into my hole for like a couple of weeks or a month, and I'm fine. I come back out, I'm good, right? Mm-hmm. So my really good friends know that, she'll be okay, But this last time scared even me because it was a lot different than I've ever experienced before. And so that first time feeling I had about not knowing what's going on, because, like I said, I was feeling sad, I was feeling depressed, I was feeling the symptoms, but I couldn't figure out why. I had a good job. I just moved into a new house. I got the, great betrothed, great friends. I thought my life was pretty good. And I could not figure why I was feeling sad, and that was my goal. I wanted to get professional help, because the last time I did, they'd let me figure out why. So once you know why, then maybe you can start working on it. Until now, I still have no idea why, because of this pandemic.
So is it something that triggers a depressive episode, or could it just come because of chemicals in the brain, or how does it hit people in general? Or maybe speak for yourself.
And so in general, generally speaking, everybody's different. And everyone experiences things differently. Okay. You can't say that, there's no checklist and stuff. You could be depressed, I could be depressed, but different kind of depression. There's so many different kinds of depression. There's major depressive disorder. There's the seasonal kind. There's the kind where your boyfriend breaks up with you. There's the kind where there's just so many. And that's why you need a professional to diagnose you. Because if you self-treat for the wrong kind of thing, then pretty much what you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on it. It's going to come out again later.
Okay, so that's interesting to know.
Yeah.
What does life look for you, for example, today?
I guess the same as, I'm going to assume a lot of us in the cinema. Life just looks like I'm alive today, at this moment, in this hour. And there are no plans, only ideas. Especially since we don't know what's going to be happening in the world. It's tough for someone like me who has always been organized, had a plan, had a structure, it's tough to try to get used to accepting that I don't know what I'm going to be doing next week. I don't know if this plan will work. I don't know if this will actually happen. But I'm working on it. So, yeah.
What do you find challenging when you're feeling down? It seems like a very difficult daily life.
Yeah, so it's not just, for me personally, feeling down, I could have handled because I've experienced it before and I knew from experience how to take care of myself and what I needed. But this last time it came with additional, 3 or 4 additional brand new disorders that I don't know where they came from and I didn't know what they were and I didn't know how to treat them. So it's like I'm starting from scratch again. So when I felt down, I felt also scared. I felt a lot of anxiety. I was afraid of the world. So afraid of the world that when the pandemic started, I had no idea that there was a pandemic because I was keeping myself away from the world. I didn't want to hear anything. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to know anything about the news. I just watched like the Cosby Show or something from the past that made me feel like I wasn't living in today's world, like in a fantasy land, and just kept going. So it was really hard to even, I know you probably heard it before, like to get up in the morning, get out of bed and all that stuff. So it's like you want to get out, you know you have to, but something inside of you is just holding like an invisible weight on you that you can't get up. You know, it's not a physical weight, it's an invisible weight. You want to get up, you want to smile, you think anybody wants to be unhappy? No. But it's something that some people just can't control, and that's what I want people to understand, that sometimes things are not always in your head. Right? This is an actual disorder. It's an actual disability. It incapacitates you, literally. I could not even get up to brush my teeth, drink water, eat food. You know, I was lucky enough to have a support system that took care of me, made sure that I ate, you know, and slept and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a real issue, and I just want to make sure that people understand that you may or may not be going through the same thing I'm going through. You may have different I guess levels, you know. Some people just break out of their depression or their anxiety or whatever they're going through, and some people don't know what to do, or they're
not even
think
aware.
It's just exactly. They don't even know that it's a thing. So it really is. It's under the Americans with Disabilities Act, when they reauthorized it in 2008, they actually made sure to include depression and anxiety, you know, these mental disorders as a disability. And when you say disability, you know, people automatically think of person in a wheelchair,
Physical disability.
Physical disability. And people look at me and they're like, oh, you look fine, or oh, you're better now, you know. But a lot of people have invisible disabilities. It's kind of like autism. I have a brother with autism, and you know, I've learned a lot over the years that I wish I had known when I was younger. But people communicate in different ways, and we can't expect everyone to communicate the same way that we do, because they don't. You know, and trying to communicate with other people, it was hard for me. It was hard for me because I was afraid. I was scared to death. And I don't know why. Yeah, just even turning on my cell phone. I was hyperventilating, you know, I don't even know why that happened. And then I think there was a few times the power went out.
And you were happy?
No, hell no, I was not happy.
Oh.
The power went out, and that means that there's no air circulating. It got hot.
Oh, okay.
Right?
But you're happy the phone was off.
Right, but then it brought me back to a flashback to Typhoon Soudelor.
Oh.
You know, which I thought I was over, but obviously not, because every time I feel hot, or I feel like the air is being sucked out of the room and I cannot breathe. And then the anxiety starts, like, oh my God, I can't breathe. Oh my God, what's happening? Oh my God, I'm sweating. And then everything kind of builds on top of each other, makes it worse and worse and worse. And I know that there's a way that people can live through this and, you know, understand how they react. But first, the first step is knowing how it is that you react, and knowing that this is not something that is you. normally.
We're chatting today with Jenn Castro, and we'll be back with more after this break.
Hafaday, Tito, and greetings from the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. This is Board Chairman Isa Ariola. We are so pleased to be celebrating our 30th anniversary this year with you. Our mission remains to navigate and explore the human experiences of the indigenous and diverse peoples of the Commonwealth by enriching their lives through research, dialogue, programs, and publications. If you have not yet participated in any of our council activities, make this your year. We look forward to welcoming you into our humanities family as we navigate the human experience together.
Welcome back. We are chatting today with Jenn Castro. Jenn, can you share with us some of the services that you've been able to avail of?
Yes, I'm fortunate enough because I have experienced this, and my work in the field, I am aware of all the services that I can avail of. So that's lucky for me. So I went, the first thing is you want to say something. You want to talk to somebody about it, whether it be a close family member, a friend. I talk to my doctor, my primary care doctor. I'm like, I've been feeling this because your general doctor can prescribe you antidepressants and anxiety medication. They can diagnose you. And then it goes from there. Then you get referred over to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And people are probably wondering, what's the difference? So, just for those who don't know, a psychiatrist is a medical doctor that is focused more on the medication side of it, the medical side of things. And a psychologist is focused more on the behavior and emotion part of it. So when I was doing some research on how long will this last?
Interesting question.
Yes, because I wanted to know, when can I go back to normal? Like, there was going to be a normal. I did some research, and it said something like 8 months to over a year, and I'm like, that's nonsense. That can't be right. But look at me 2 years later. I'm still struggling to understand all of this. So I was fortunate enough to get a psychiatrist at a hospital on island. Unfortunately, because, like with everything, the CNMI is just so isolated. We're so far from everything. We don't have as many local resources as we should. So, even getting a dental appointment, you have to wait 3 months. So that's how long I had to wait to see a psychiatrist, because it was fully booked. So can you imagine 3 months, that's 90 days of thinking in your head, what am I going through? What is happening? Why can't I fix this? Why is this not working anymore? Every single day, you're going through that with no hope until you see somebody else that you think may help you. So I saw the psychiatrist. We put me on some medication. And the thing with medication is, when it comes to mental health, it is trial and error. Every single person's different. There is no take 2 of these and call me in the morning. There's different brands. There's different doses. There's different times of day to take it. And pretty much what all you do with the psychiatrist is take 20 milligrams of this for 2 weeks. Then we'll see how it goes, and then we'll up it to 30 to 40. And then if you happen to miss 3 days, because, it affects your memory, you get side effects, oh no, you have to start all over again from the beginning. 10 milligrams for 2 weeks, 20 milligrams, it made me feel like I was, an AA, like an alcoholic. You fell off the wagon, and 5 years I've been sober, but oh no, I had 1 drink and now I have to start all over again. And that's what it felt. It didn't help the situation. And then I was also able to, although I wasn't able to get any psychologists or therapists or counselors on my own, my psychiatrist referred me to a psychologist who, by the luck of the draw, was still on island because they were supposed to have moved, but because of the pandemic, they were still here. They took me on. And so, yeah, I'm one of the fortunate ones who actually has a psychiatrist and a psychologist and a primary care doctor. So I have that kind of help. I also have friends, and this is when you know who your real friends are and your family. Because if people stop reaching out to you and returning your texts or your calls, don't immediately jump to the conclusion that, they're ignoring you. Maybe they're like me, where they just literally could not. Like, I remember every day thinking, like, God, I want to let everyone know that I'm okay, because they're probably worried, like, not that I was okay, but I was alive or something. But I just couldn't do it, and it was really hard. So my boyfriend, he told me that all my friends and family were texting and calling him. Like, how's Jen? What's going on with Jen? And he told me, so-and-so called, so-and-so stopped by. Just hearing that people cared enough to ask, it was the world. It was just knowing that. It was the difference between life and death in my head,
So it's like you were open to hearing the message, but you just couldn't be communicating via phone or text.
Yes, because for some reason I didn't know how to anymore. I used to be a really good communicator, writer, and expert at computer stuff and technology. And then now all of a sudden, I'm different. And so I have to learn how to live with that.
Could you talk a little bit, before we come to the end of the show, about stigmas?
Yes. The words that we use, like words like depression, words like crazy, words like sad, they're taken very lightly, especially with our culture. We want to be strong. You don't want to show anybody weakness, that kind of thing. But what was I saying?
Stigmas.
Stigmas, yes. Just because you have a disability, just because you feel certain things at certain times that are different than what other people do, does not mean that you're incompetent or that you don't understand. I am very smart. I'm intelligent. I can say that I am a lot better at doing other people's jobs than they are. Customer service, I'll call. I'm like, you don't have to go through all of this. I know this already. My question is this. Let me speak to your manager. I know that about myself. The problem is when people hear that I had a mental condition, they think, oh, she's gone now. She can't do anything anymore. We can't rely on her. She's not responsible. And that's what we want to try and get away from. It's not anything that you can hold against people, but they have no control over it. It's kind of like
having a physical disability, not being able to hear or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Like if you are blind and I'm saying, okay, I'll give you $1 million if you tell me what color this apple is. How can you even ask that question when you know they can't see? The same thing with mental health, mental disabilities. It's like, how can you continue to email me when you know I can't communicate that way? I can only speak to you in person right now. And then that brings on the anxiety, like, oh my gosh, they're expecting me to answer them. And so it doesn't help, The best help that you can get is be surrounded by people who love you and support you. They don't have to understand what you're going through. Nobody will understand what you're going through. Not exactly. Everybody's different. All you have to do is let them know that you'll be there for anything. Like my betrothed, he
Why do you laugh every time you say that?
because after 8 years, he finally proposed to me, and
Congratulations.
thanks. But he's been there for me like you can't imagine. But he still doesn't understand what I'm going through. What he does understand is that I need help, and he can't be the one to give it to me. So he calls my friends, my family, and schedules play dates for me. Hey, can you hang out with Jen because I think she's not having a good day? Or, just be there to let people know that you're around. Like, not one of those fake let's have coffee kind of things. Really, like, if you say, call me anytime, I've called people anytime, and they couldn't talk. That was, that's just something that you have to go through when you weed out all the people that you can count on. And asking for help, that's something that I am very comfortable with now. I was so ashamed before, like I didn't want to bother people, that everybody's going through their own problem, and all that stuff, but it doesn't hurt to ask for help. You never know.
One of the things you said during the break was we want to appear and we want to be strong and brave, and sometimes being brave means asking for help. And
Yes.
you said for our chat today that one of the things you wanted is for people to learn something about ourselves and the people that we love in order to better love ourselves and the people that we love. What are your final thoughts wrapping up our chat today?
My final thoughts is, yes, everyone goes through stuff, but what is your priority? What's important to you? And then focus on that. For me, for a long time, all I wanted to be was happy. I didn't care how much I was making. I didn't care, who my friends were at the time, as long as I was happy. And I was for a while, so I just wanted to be genuinely happy doing things that I want to do. And so I'm just trying to figure out what that is now and try to do it. It's still a little bit scary, but, you can't find out unless you try things. So that's where your support system comes in. I actually have like a file of voice recordings on my phone. So my friends and family, they called and they left me little snippets of, Jen, don't be scared today. It's only the store. You're just going to go buy a bag of ice. You can do it. And then I play that to motivate myself, or Jen, it's just an email. It's not a novel. Quick and simple. Send. Just to remind me, because knowing myself, I can't tell myself those things. I can't read it. I need to hear someone else's voice say it to me. And that's what works for me. Other things might work for different people. And that's what you need to figure out about yourself. Ask other people, too, because other people know you sometimes more than you know yourself, especially those things that you don't even realize that you're doing. So, I'm still on a journey. I'm still alive. And I'm very grateful that, you invited me here to speak out and share. Sometimes that makes the difference. Just being able to share without having anyone say how to fix it, or why don't you do this or do that. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So I just hope that somebody gets to understand that everybody's different, but let's all just try and be happy and make people around us happy, and we'll get through this. But don't force yourself to be normal. Don't rush yourself into putting on a show. Be yourself.
Well, I want to thank you also for being willing to share your story, and I join you in hoping that our chat today will help somebody out there who really needed to hear what you had to share today. Thanks.
I was just thinking that, if anybody does have comments or questions, then let's have a discussion. Let's form a group.
We've been chatting today with Jenn Castro, sharing her personal challenge and struggle, and in hopes that others would be able to learn something and be helped by our chat today. This has been Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.